Welcome to the committee as a whole meeting for June. Roll call, please.
Sheree Archdale. Absent. Linda Bailey.
Here.
Michelle Franklin.
Here.
Rebecca Kern.
Here.
Julie True.
Here.
Judy Strong, present. And Charles Thomas.
Here. If y'all stand for the pledge, everything's blocked up, so there's no flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, moving right on. Committee reports, building and grounds.
Just a reminder, this is a committee meeting and to go over items that we'll discuss at the board meeting. There will be no voting tonight. The first item is building and grounds. I'm meeting weekly with the construction folks at the district office. Remodel is on schedule. The demolition is almost complete. Remember, this is a 40-year-old building. No significant improvements have been made in a long time. We are bound to contract union workers, pay prevailing wage, make the building handicap accessible and compliant, conserve energy, and with the confrontational climate we all unfortunately experience, it requires that we apply security measures. All of that comes with a price. We continue to look for every opportunity to contain costs. I believe that Board Member Bailey has continued to express concerns about the asbestos in Homewood. Homewood has the same tile in it that's in the other school buildings. The building has been inspected by 2 asbestos contractors and the ROE. The ROE is going to send us a letter indicating what we need to do to be legally compliant before the state and alternative schools occupy the building.
Did you find the ideal report?
It's in the board book. It will be in the board minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's go on to finance, please. You're going to handle the official athletic during finance.
Now we'll do extracurricular. We'll just go on down the list. As in a committee meeting, we're going to cover all items that come up. There is no formal vote. Finance. Bauman and Associates will no longer serve as district auditor. We are seeking recommendations from financial experts, from other superintendents, and from our attorneys. We are on schedule for the 3rd year in a row to deliver a balanced budget. That is no small feat in this economy. We have doubled the reserve. As a reminder, the past board and administration during my absence accepted the energy grant, reported that they would use the reserves to match the grant, and failed to seek the additional money that was available through the maintenance grant. According to testimony, the idea of matching money was met with, let's just say, reserve. There continues to be misinformation circulating about the renovation of the district office. Simply put, you cannot take it apart without putting it back together. The law and the code dictate what we need to do with bathrooms and exit doors. Security and energy efficiency guided our decisions. We continue to look for grant money to defray some of the cost. It was in the past voted to use our reserves for the matching money. I have attempted to use insurance money, which initially was denied until I fought for and prevailed for the district. Grant dollars, which I've secured, and donations. We received a significantly lower bid to complete the work and the engineering firm has donated no less than $30,000 worth of service. In spite of the most challenging economic times in the history of education, we are again delivering a balanced budget and have doubled our reserve.
Okay, transportation.
Right at this point, transportation, they haven't made a final determination at the state level. I have asked the attorneys to weigh in on the request that the parent made to pay a certain amount for their child to be transported if they were within the 1.5 miles, and we've not got a response yet.
Policy, please.
The Freedom of Information policy directs us to inform the board of FOIA requests and responses. Because the email can be altered, I do not respond to email. It is also difficult to track what is informal and formal. For example, one of the titled FOIA requests comes under the heading junk. It's difficult to not delete something that comes up with that title. Informal names like Shopaholic Sisters, I regard as an informal, not a formal conversation. On 6/12, we received Office of the Attorney General. This has been forwarded to the attorneys. I read it briefly today. It just came in and it questions minutes. What I think I need to remind you again is that we are in the midst of changing. We have changed websites. There's still glitches with the website, but all those things are being corrected, and the attorneys are assuring anybody that's interested that we are in compliance, have been cooperative with the community, and promote transparency. Then we got another FOIA request from, that one was from Mr. Giddens. This one is also from Mr. Giddens on May 15th. May 14th, May 9th, May 10th, May 11th, May 12th. These are all the same, responses back and forth. Emails, I'm just reading off the emails. Shopaholic Sisters, May 15th. There was 2 pages, well, actually many documents, 36 attachments for that one. Tuesday, May 15th. A series of responses back and forth, I think that's 5 or 6. Wednesday, May 16th, series of conversations back and forth. Tammy Bowers on May 22nd, questions, some of which have something to do with freedom of information. Please understand that all items are not FOIA'd. All items are not formal documents. It is not required by law to create a document if you don't have one. On May 23rd, I got another request from Tammy Bowers. Committee members, steering committee, principal committee. There is no principal committee, so some of those are probably misunderstandings about what's available and not. May 23rd, Mrs. Greiner again, and those were forwarded treasurer's reports. And this is going back a little while, 10/26 of this year, Pam Greiner about salary increases. Another one from Pam Greiner, June 1st. Another one from Pam Greiner. This looks like May 23rd this was received. So I think I've covered all of them. and we have responded accordingly. The attorneys are working on responses to a few. We want to make sure that we are familiar and staying within the law. Policies, we do have quite a few policies, and so we're going to have to deal with those at a separate time. I think that will take a lot of time to do those. Extracurricular, I forgot, I'm sorry, I didn't copy this right through. All right, extracurricular. In here, this is something that will have to be voted on at the next meeting. There is a pay increase for athletic officials recommended. The intent of this proposal is to ask for an increase in what District 76 pays athletic officials. And these are in Paul's words. I feel the following are valid reasons as to why these amounts need to be addressed. Of course, Paul is our athletic director. Reasons for increase. Ability to hire quality officials, to stabilize and improving game atmosphere, the ability to hire more experienced officials, becoming comparable with other local schools, and then you'll see the increase is $10 more or less. The last couple of years, according to Paul, he's turned down what he considers to be regulars because we didn't pay what other schools pay. Oftentimes, officials will cancel at the last minute because they can get an offer from a higher paying district. Therefore, the substitute they arrange is someone of whom I'm not familiar and who is not highly qualified. And our games have become very contentious and combative. It is not a good representation of who we are trying to become as a school district. And I think that part of it is that the games are allowed to become too physical. And this is often the case with less experienced referees. So this is something I copied for you and that we'll take home for next time, for a board vote.
Information on the June 9th board meeting or board training?
Yes, I'm excited to say that Dean Langdon, again from the Illinois Association of School Boards, is joining us on Saturday to do the completion of our goal training. Goal-setting training is important because it establishes the priorities of the district, and our plans can be then made according to those goals. Dean will stop by my office tomorrow and collect any materials and do some copying and preparation. 9 o'clock, yes.
Is this the second half to what we did last year? Is there another charge, $400 charge for this?
I'll have to look up the total charge of goal setting, but because, especially now with divided concerns, I think it's very important to have a professional guide the practice of this board.
How long do you think that will be transferred?
Oh, it's probably 2 or 3 hours.
In 1 month?
The handbook is really the meat of the meeting tonight in terms of our conversation as the board. I made every effort to copy, and those are the copies in front of you to make it easier for you. The pages that changes were recommended. Now, your handbook will not reflect phone numbers, names. Those changes will be done in the office. But these were substantive changes, and these are changes that we need to vote on at the next meeting. So I think we can go over those. On page 6, what we're just doing is adding the DTaP vaccination for all 6th graders.
Excuse me, on page 5, you have the district liaison for the homeless, but it doesn't list who that is. Could you make sure that's in there, the phone number?
Yes, that's what I said initially. All the names and contacts and phone numbers, all that will be changed in the office. Our group's purpose is to approve the substantive changes in the handbook. And I might add that oftentimes boards just generally approve whatever is delivered to them. Page 7 reflects the change in the distribution of gym suits. That's really procedural with the athletic department and includes pricing for reduced lunches. Some parents have asked that be added. Page 19 reminds parents of the $25 charge for sports. And I handed, if the numbers don't match up on that's why I did these. Now, don't look in the emergency preparedness thing. You got to look in your handbook that we sent in your packet.
Yeah, I was thinking mine matched up.
But in case somebody didn't bring them, or okay, so let's go back to that. Page 19 also deletes the references to Parent Club until we establish the new organization. That is in no way meant to delete the importance of the parents. We absolutely honor the wonderful folks that work for us and with us. Page 23. That adds the press policy language for bullying. I think it's very important, and I think the lawyers concur, that we begin to look at press policy established by lawyers and recommended by the state as the policy to adopt. I've included handouts on preventing bullying, intimidation, and harassment. And we will translate that into our adult community as well. Harassment is 720. Student discipline is 7.190, and I've given you a separate sheet on these. And then page 26 includes language from press also.
What about page 24?
Now, what I'm going to do is finish going over the changes that I've distributed, and then everybody else can.
Page 24
is page 24, and what did it say?
Medication.
Oh.
Cough drop.
The cough drop. Oh, what about cough drop? A cough drop is not a medication. I didn't include that.
It can be.
Well, it can be, but the cough drops in
Julie, this is
Not across
Texas.
Not really, I don't distribute cough drops either. They can bring those in on their own. But is cough drop a medication?
No, a cough drop. We'll check with the attorneys, but I will by and large say,
If it's a,
guys, we can't have an open conversation, but we will check. Okay, let's finish this part of the discussion. Okay, so now we went through here, and I will make a note on the things that we need to check on before the next meeting. So we want to do, what is it, which page, Michelle, was cough drops?
26 you have,
Page
on my
26.
sheet, it's 24. It says drop. It says, oh, yes, 24. Page 24.
Okay. So we'll check on those.
Oh, 26.
I can ask the legal opinion. And it's okay with me to not give them. I mean,
It
I
was
don't
just
know,
on
it's
my
something
sheet,
one of the
that's why.
secretaries does. Any other additions or corrections that we need to consider?
Are you going to update us on PBIS on page 19 under the school counseling? Will you have something addressing PBIS on that page? Because I don't think we success that we did have in that and are doing with it.
The
I would
student
think that-
support team,
Yeah,
we could update counseling to reflect the student support team. I was going to talk about it during my superintendent's report, but it was on the front page of the paper. We are being asked to come to Chicago to speak about the system that we put in at Parkview and participate in designing a national monograph for the PBIS program and the mental health continuum.
On page 4, from the one I got,
Page 4.
the meetings of each month of the BOE.
Yeah, all those things are,
Yeah.
dates and people and all that will be changed in the office.
So will we get another one to use it?
Well, no,
Just to make
it's,
sure everybody got.
We'll
what
get a
they-
copy.
You'll get a copy. You'll get a copy, but those are clerical changes.
Yeah, I know that. I understand.
Could you address page 16? You have it on our list.
And some of these are recommendations from the principals.
Was
So
the
if I
question-
can't address it.
Right, well, the question is, are we still giving them peanut butter and jelly if they have 3 charges? Or what's the policy on that?
I'll have to look that up. Let's see. What I want to make sure and is not so much how they deliver food to children, but that children are never left hungry. That it is absolutely not acceptable to me that a child is refused food if they don't come with money. The child doesn't make money, the parents do. And for the child to be penalized because the parent didn't follow through or didn't have money or didn't send money is not acceptable to me. So peanut butter and jelly is an option, or peanut butter and honey, with fruit and milk as a substitute. Though we don't go on with that. In other words, I've had to come back in and say that happens for a little while, and then we have to send the social worker out and determine, is there a greater problem? Because obviously the child can't eat peanut butter every day.
Well, it says breakfast charges will not be honored, so. what we do
Breakfast
there.
charges, we are feeding children. I think what Mrs. Gold has expressed concern that children not be given free meals if they're not qualified for those. Now, I do understand we're going to be getting less money from the free and reduced program, and I don't know what that's going to look like. Because we had talked about going 100% free and reduced and not charging, because such a small percentage of our families pay to eat. But now with the new changes in the economic situation, I'm not sure we have enough information to make a learned decision. What I want to make sure is that our children are not hungry. We also have policies and practices to honor. So I will look into what they're doing with these charges. I don't think it's consistent. I think it's pretty much been looked at case by case. Okay.
15, electronics.
Oh, the electronic devices on page 15. Chuck recommended, how did you recommend that we include something that has to do with electronic devices serving as a disturbance.
I just changed it to smartphones and handheld games.
And I would appreciate you kind of tearing off any changes that you have or emailing them to me, because those are helpful recommendations. Speaking of electronic devices, Mrs. Greiner is audio taping this for anybody that's interested. Chuck's recommending any electric device that causes disruption to learning or safety. And I think that's well said.
Superintendent's report.
I hope everyone noticed the front page article we just talked about, detailing our system of care for the middle school students. I can't brag enough about that program and the teamwork demonstrated by the 10 of us that have worked very closely together to support our kids. Our academic success from this program has what caught the attention of the media. Unfortunately, that was not captured the last meeting, but we have seen a 50% reduction in discipline referrals by participating students. 97% of the girls in the program have improved in math scores in 2 or 3 areas, 95% of the boys. I am much more impressed with that than just their grades, though they have shown improvement in at least one core subject. Since we are going to a growth model demonstrating our measure of academic performance rather than just an AYP score, the math scores and the success these children are experiencing is meaningful. I'm asking for parent club policies and practices from neighboring districts. It is unanimously agreed by every superintendent and board member I've discussed this with and the attorneys that parents work in partnership with the administration and are supportive of the administration. It is also unanimously agreed that protections over the EIN number, that's that nonprofit number, absolutely need to be in place. Mrs. Greiner at the past board meeting made the comment that she thought the parent club was treated badly. Rather than implicate any individual, I chose to protect the reputation of all involved and continue on the path of forming a more inclusive, district-wide parent-teacher collaboration. There is no law and there is no code that legislates my ability to form relationships with interested parents. Those parents involved need to partner with school, principal, and the superintendent. We have made changes lately that have met with some controversy. We continue to do the right thing for the right reasons. Julie McCardle is beginning to meet with staff. That's the new principal. Jason Gamble, new special ed coordinator, has begun meeting with staff as well. I intend to invite them to the next board meeting to introduce them to those of you who have not met them. The attorney will be present at the board meeting. Because the board meetings have been contentious and we want to present the opportunity for public input, I thought it was important to design and then rededicate our addressing the board practices so that everyone's opinion can be heard with a modicum of civility and grace. We will again discuss this directive in policy session and then communicate that direction to the public.
Okay, at this time, is there any comments from the audience?
I have a couple.
Please
I just
go
have
ahead.
some questions. Stop right in. First of all, I was just wondering, Mrs. Davis said the old board approved the energy grant. I don't remember. I was on the old board. I remember we said go ahead and approve them to pursue it, but I don't think we ever approved the grant. So if you could get those dates for me, I appreciate it. Secondly, I don't remember, you didn't say this, so I'm not sure if you meant the new board approved the use the resources, but as the old board, I never approved the use resources for that reserves for that grant. So I don't know where that came from. It could be the new board. You didn't say, so I just,
You
it
didn't
could be.
state your name and address?
Yes, I did state my name. I said Val
You did?
Reagan.
I'm
Yes,
sorry,
I
I
did.
didn't hear it. Would you say it again so I can have it on the tape?
Val Reagan, 3 times.
And your address?
12 Ford Court.
Thank you.
So, yes. So I don't know about that. I would like the clarification of that. And again, you did not say, so I'm just assuming there. Thirdly, you said the numbers about the extracurricular activities. You didn't say the numbers. You said approximately $10. Is that just for referees, or was that for the teacher's stipend as well? Getting an increase?
Just referees.
Just for referees. Okay, I was just wondering. I know that's been a problem in the past.
Actually, we did a fairly good study on that.
Right, and we handed it to them, and that was 3-4 years ago. So I thought they increased it personally, so I didn't know. And also PBIS, I'm glad it's working. That's probably been going on for 4 or 5 years now. I'm glad that it's working, and it was a good article in the paper. And as far as, I'm not sure about this meeting. I felt as a citizen, it was more directed to the residents in this, how they acted and things like that. I'm not sure if it was a committee meeting because she told the committee not to talk, and the superintendent continued to say things about residents in this community. I don't know what the board's going to do about it, but I felt as a resident it's inappropriate. So I'm just telling you, and who's given directives? Because she said it's a directive that she's going to change things. I thought the board gave directives to her.
Thank you. Any other?
Pam Griner, 108 LaSalle. When I was on the board for approximately 12 years, there was always a summary of audience comments included in the minutes. The board at that time respected and appreciated audience input and felt it was important that it become part of the public record. Area school districts still feel this way, as all of the ones I researched have a place in their minutes for public comments. Some of you on this board made audience comments before you were elected. Those comments were placed in the public record. Don't you feel that your audience deserves the same respect?
And we'll look back into the minute. We're having conversation right now with lawyers about minutes and how we will honor the law and be transparent, but not be anecdotal.
Is there any other?
Tammy Bauer, 615 Dempsey Street. There is no transparency here. There is a lot of secretive things. There was a principal committee, even though you want to deny that now. There was. I would still like to know who was on those committees without you having to ask the permission of the people. If it's not a secret, then why can't it be known? And I agree with what Ms. Reagan said here. You have been very disrespectful to everyone here today, and I didn't come here for a lecture from you.
Thank you for your comments.
You got one more?
I have enough handouts I can hand to the board, or do you want me to read them to you? Randy Giddens, 821 South Coeur Avenue. Read this way you follow along. I've been requesting information. I sent 2 separate requests in. I think the first one asked for about 3 items, and the second one asked for about 3 items also. And that may be what you're referring to. I've been trying to figure this budget thing out, and this is where I've done my homework. The sources of the following information is based on school board meetings, board packets, school records, Tazewell County Treasurer's Office, and grant applications. Last meeting, you said the Litchfield building renovations coming in about $191,000. If you look at, I'm sorry, pass these up. If you look at what the architecture firm gave you, you see there was a cost down there, about 7.3%. I'm not sure what that is.
Mr. Giddens, these
Yes.
are probable costs.
This is not, this is opinion,
Okay.
probable cost.
Probable cost.
So
but-
that's an estimate of construction work.
Okay, but you can't, what I did is I took the $191,000, I took the 7.3% city cost, calculated that, That comes up to $204,943. To that, you add the other 10% A&E fee. Again, that comes from that opinion paper. So that comes up to a total estimated cost, $225,437,000. I don't know what the cost was to move to Homewood and to move back. At the May 21st meeting, you said lighting was the only thing in the original energy efficient grant. I looked at that opinion. Estimated cost for replacing the lights was $10,500. The LED exit signs was only $1,256. That's a total of $11,756. The grant covers half. That's only $5,878. I did not count the cost to abate the administration building. I'm not sure the energy efficiency grant will pay for the asbestos abatement, and I'm not sure what the superintendent's getting the information that the energy efficiency grant does cover asbestos abatement. That's only a 2.6% savings of renovation costs covering the energy efficiency grant. There's a 2,000 EOC grant. I haven't had a chance to look at that much, but I think I've seen where you can use that $2,000 towards that energy efficient grant to help pay the district's part of it. But I didn't dig any further. I just read real quick. So I think we're, I'm not questioning that at all. I did not count school maintenance grant because it's not approved yet. And it's not supposed to be used for renovation projects anyway. The last board meeting, plan to use insurance money to help match money for the energy grant. I went back and looked at the annual statement of affairs from 2010, line 56, which is in that, all of this stuff is in that other handout I passed out. In your annual statement of affairs, the insurance was $41,121. That same year, you spent crowning roofing $27,975. That was part of that insurance. So that left only $13,146 for the ceiling tile abatement that you all spoke of earlier. I don't know what the cost of the ceiling tile abatement that's already been completed before the renovation starts. The other thing is the insurance money has already been spent for roof repairs and ceiling tile abatement in the Litchfield building. None of the insurance money was used for lighting in the Litchfield building, therefore it cannot match any of the energy efficient grant costs. I also roughly did an estimated expenditure for the next 5 years for the operation and maintenance fund. The energy efficiency grant that you received was $247,950. The district's supposed to match that, so there's another $247,950. You applied for, I'm hearing $50,000. I don't know what it is. I haven't seen the grant. I asked for it, but I haven't seen it yet. If the district receives the maintenance grant, 50% of the local funds district must match that. That means out of the operation and maintenance fund, you've already committed $595,900 from the operations and maintenance fund. I also looked at, there's the DEOC grant, 2,000, and the average expenditure from the operations and maintenance fund for normal operations has been about $100,000. So for over the next 5 years, there's $500,000. That gives you a total of $1,097,900 minimum expenditures for the next 5 years from the operation and maintenance funds.
Schedules, please.
1 minute, okay. And then you can read the rest that's in there, okay? The other thing that I remember seeing in the minutes, there was stuff in there that none of the money's coming from the education fund. I noticed looking at the budget, salaries for your custodians and that, you're taking those out of the education fund, not the operations and maintenance fund. Okay, this school year budget. Now, some of the custodians you're using at Parkview LaSalle. That's okay. But your custodians in your administration building and Homewood Heights, you have no students in those buildings. Why is the money coming out of the education fund for the custodial service, the painting, and everything else that you did down there? There's stuff with your budget. One last thing on your budget. If you look at the last page on that second handout I gave you, the minutes from September 19th, you'll see the minutes. I believe all 7 board members, you ended your finance hearing, or excuse me, school budget hearing. 7 members voted for it. And down lower, you see there, 6 members voted aye for that budget, 1 abstained. But what you reported to the state, 7 board members voted aye. Mistakes. I think that's an honest mistake. I don't know if that has any impact on anything, but I'm asking you to go back through this paperwork and your grants, carefully look it over before you proceed. And we lose not only the grants for the energy efficiency, but others, and get penalized because we're doing this in haste. I mean, this is an honest mistake. Either somebody read it and said 7 people voted to come out of that hearing, or someone counted that. One
Mr.
member
Giddens,
said aye.
thank you.
Thank you.
And Mr. Giddens, I appreciate all the work you did. Unfortunately, and you'll see in 5 years, that I rely on people who do financing for a living, and people at the state who have partnered with us. This is a very complex process. If we didn't have to abate the asbestos, I would have been perfectly happy in the office as it was. People who know me know that I lived in my husband's construction project for 20 years. It was not in any way a priority of mine. If you go through the minutes, the board requested over and over again that we abate that asbestos, and I will say again, you cannot take out a ceiling and then affect the walls and tear out the carpet and then not put it back together, and it is costly. And we have 5 years to spend the money, 2 years to dedicate it. Again, I appreciate all the work you did. There's been a lot of Freedom of Information Act information requested, and the unfortunate part about it is that it takes a lot of partnering with financial people and state people to really understand how this money is appropriated, how it is attached, and we will do our due diligence to make sure that that happens. So we're going to work carefully with the attorneys and make sure that that is honored, that your concerns are honored, and that we are good stewards of the money. And for anyone who felt insulted by tonight, I can only add that because of the accusations made and made publicly, it was really important to clarify those things. This is a committee of a whole meeting, and generally in the past, I don't ever remember public participation. And so I see the same faces here tonight that have voiced concerns and expressed concerns by requesting freedom of information. So I think it's my attempt to communicate honestly my response to some things that were said publicly at meetings.
Mr. Thomas?
We're done. It's not a debate. We're done.
No, I'm not debating. I want to ask about the peanut butter. 20 years ago, a sitting board member passed away from peanut butter allergy. She sent her children to school. She ate something. The allergy, she didn't make it to phone. She passed away, I believe, in the kitchen. If I remember right, Mr. Bachler. A sitting board member, peanut allergies. I love peanut butter and jelly. That's something to consider, please.
I appreciate that we have it, and we do have a system to address.
Okay, thank you.
Somebody else has to speak.
Desi, we're at 120. I want to know if the audit has been done yet. And I want to know, how did you get that to audit? Because I thought we didn't turn it in until the end of the school year. So how was it even there to get picked out of the, because you said it was picked out of the random? It just randomly got picked. They went in and randomly picked it. How did they randomly pick it when there should even have been nothing there?
I'm not sure I understand your question, but Sheila Burdette, who was recommended by Mrs. Bailey to do, but if you honored and respected her to be our treasurer, I'm sure that you honored and respected her reputation to be fair and just and give us a good opinion. So what we did was just simply take over the records we had and the remainder of the records when they came in. So,
Is the audit?
no, we have not heard from her yet. It will
Because,
take a while.
I thought it was almost, you said it last meeting, it was almost done.
I am at their pleasure. I can't dictate for them when they finish.
And then you said we didn't have enough money to purchase what we wanted to purchase. Me and Tammy sat down with Mr. Bennett, and we have money left over when we're done. Well, how much money was left?
So we want to make sure that, and we'll know that from the audit, exactly what's
And
there.
another thing, how come we were given a bill for donuts with Mom, muffins with Dad?
Yes, that was my other question. Why was we sent $415.59 bill?
We've never paid for that. I've been on
We've never
the
been
Parents
asked.
Club for 5 years, and we've never got the bill.
And,
And
did
we
you
weren't
get the bill
asked that.
for the treasurer for Parkview's Parent Club for that?
I got a bill for something else we weren't supposed to pay for and just talk to Shelley and see if it was a mistake.
Yeah, we'll just ask her.
Because we got billed at Parkview for something that we've never been billed for.
Who sends those bills?
Shelley does.
Shelley decides who pays.
Well, it was just an honest mistake.
Oh,
Just
okay.
go in and talk to her about it.
Okay.
Well, I can,
I have a quick question on finance. Who's signing our district checks now?
they're still signed by Jim as they transition. Jim Mamer is
Okay,
transitioning from
because-
treasurer to Kyle. And one or the other, Chuck can sign them.
Right. So I wondered if Mr. Thomas was signing them because,
The bank is.
okay, the last time, at the last meeting, didn't Jim Mamer retire?
Well, he has officially resigned, and there are financial and procedural things at the bank that I trust that our 40-year treasurer
Right.
is honoring the law, and I don't question his practices. He's making sure that we're taken care of legally.
Okay, because I know the board has to officially appoint a treasurer, and I knew we hadn't changed, so. In a motion, the board officially.
Did we not do that with Kyle?
I thought we did.
It
We
was
did.
on, it was on a agenda a couple months ago, but there was never any motion in the minutes.
That was a couple months ago.
We'll bring that back, okay? Because we'll bring that back. Kyle
February, I
came.
think, it was on the agenda, but there's no motion in
He
the
has
minutes.
he's vacillated. Jim Mamer has represented us
I'm fine with Jim Mamer,
professionally
but-
and tremendously, and so he was kind of on the fence about retiring, staying, and so forth. I got
Right.
him a plaque now that he's really committed to retiring.
And can I ask, I didn't hear, can you clarify for sure that at the next meeting, we'll get the asbestos, where it was abated? Is that what you said?
No, she
It'll be in
wants
the
that,
packet.
we get a 6-month report from Ideal, and I've always had an issue with people who seek to gain from an inspection. The same people that do the inspection, we've had do the work, and I think that muddies the water a little bit. So I like to get another opinion before we move forward. Not to say anything about Ideal and its reputation, I just don't think it's a good practice to have people inspect and decide about the progress and the work, and then turn around and do the work.
But will we have something that it has been, when it is done, that it's at least been abated? Will we have something on that?
We have abated the asbestos in the district office. There's been no other abatement.
That that.
There's going to be containment at Homewood,
Okay.
not abatement, if we can possibly avoid it. Might not be avoidable in the room where upstairs somebody heavily glued a carpet to the floor. So I've got M&O coming in and looking at it.
And who pulled that up? Who pulled the carpet up?
Well, we pulled a corner up to see what would happen when the inspectors came, and what happens is that the tile comes with the carpet.
Oh, I thought you said the last meeting it had been.
That's in a room downstairs.
Oh, okay.
Any more? I ask for a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I don't think we're motioning anything.
We don't have to.
No? Adjourn?
Thank you.
Somebody second it?
No.